guys. That was really weird. That was very weird indeed. On this screen here, I could see my intro working perfectly. On this screen that I'm looking at right now, it wasn't. It was just frozen. And I thought, oh, my stream's frozen. It's my internet again. But here we are. It worked. All right. So second time today. I did a stream a couple of hours going through Tim Mullen's ridiculous post over on Michelle Walks, my lunchtime, 1 o'clock. So go and check that out if you want to. You want to hear me ranting about Tim Mullen? If you don't, well, that's fair enough. But he's an irritating man. I find Tim Mullen very, very irritating. But what we're going to be doing today in this stream is focusing on, I'm just rearranging my desk here so I can see this a little bit better. There we are. Yeah, what we're going to be doing in this stream is going through the stuff that I put in yesterday's video on this channel. And I did say yesterday that I'd do a live on it because I don't want there to be any confusion. I want this theory to be explained as well as I can explain it. So that's what we're going to be doing. But let's say a few hellos to start with. Let's see who's in the house. Let's see. Aussie TV, Lip Lock no more. I do like your channel when you have a good rant. Lip Locked. I do. I don't rant very often, but when I do, it feels good, doesn't it? Feels good to let it out. Hello, Holly, Kayla, Grassy. Does that say? Grossy. Alice, K Crochet. Amanda, Deb, Neela, Stacy, Tech Girl, Pincho, Linda, Sherry, Lisa, Debbie, Amy Lou, Khaleesi Girl, A One Way Street, Pam, Sophie, Tweety Lynn. I'm having an okay day, thank you. I'm all right. I'm all right. Now I've had my rant, I'm all right. I've had a quiet day. Okay. Just occasionally having a nice quiet day with not much to do is good for everyone, isn't it? Just Breathe, Elise. Teffy the Water Gypsy. Can't stay, but he's going to be on the replay crew. Well, that's good. That's fine. Hello to everyone on the replay crew. I'm always on the replay crew. When anybody goes live, I'm always replay crew. Very rarely actually catch a live. Teresa, Vivian, Susan, Angie Baby, Flicking Bollocks. That's good. Sandy, Sassy, Plant Lady, and lots of people coming in now. All right, I'm not going to carry on. I could go on. I could go on and on and on and on. We've got here. Ricky Beavers in the house. Hello, Ricky Beavers. Yeah. Well, I do try. Try to keep up with these things. I'm following a lot of cases at the moment, though. I mean, summer's dominating because it's not that there's anything new officially, formally from law enforcement, but there's lots of little things going on that are intriguing. So it's got people talking again about the case because it went really quiet, didn't it? And the only time you ever heard Summer Wells mentioned was when one creator was having a go at another creator. I'm not interested in any of that. So it's nice to see people actually making content about Summer's case. So am I following what? No, I'm not. What's that case about? I'm following so many cases at the moment. I find it difficult. I'm at the very kind of limit on what cases I can cover. Well, the thing is, everybody's lied. I mean, there's probably some truth in something that everybody said, but then there's also lies. So how do you determine what's a lie, what's an exaggeration? So there's basic truth, but an exaggeration. And I could bring Jose up in that, for that I think Jose told some truth. I don't think he told out and out direct lies, but I think there was a lot of exaggeration in there. I think Fred has been deliberately spreading misinformation, probably because he finds it funny, like the monkeys. I'm not saying there isn't monkeys in the Tennessee mountains, there may be. Rose Bly being a prostitute, the bones, those things were clearly not true. Clearly not true. And I think that Fred was just having a joke. Knew that it was going to go on YouTube and thought it would be funny. Maybe put up to it by Geordie Sue. Who knows? I don't know. That's just a speculation. I think there's some truth in what he said. And I think there's some information he's given out that's his truth, that he believes to be true, but perhaps isn't. Like, it's inaccurate, but he believes it to be true. So, but how do you determine what's the lie, what's the exaggeration, and what's the truth? You can try and piece things together, which is what I try to do. And I'm enjoying Burn Barrel's channel at the moment because she's doing a similar thing. And it's not that we're going to be right. It's just that you're trying to piece these connections together. And somewhere in there is going to be the truth, but it doesn't mean that any one of us is right. What happened to Summer Wells is a complete mystery. Nobody knows, including law enforcement. You know, I'm not going to be able to solve it. Are law enforcement going to be able to solve it? They've got more chance of solving the case than any one of us do. But at the end of the day, in the absence of law enforcement telling us anything, and if they're not telling us stuff because they're close and they don't want to jeopardize the investigation, well, that's brilliant. I'd rather not know a thing until an arrest is made than jeopardize the investigation, than letting anything out prematurely. But at the same time, it does leave a big void, and people who are interested in this case will fill that void. It's just natural that people will do. Yes, I do. Totally in order. So it goes from the most recent to the most old. So if you want to start at the bottom, I think you can just reorder a playlist yourself. I think you can just click in your options and reorder it yourself. But if you want to start from the oldest and work up, then go to the bottom of the playlist and work your way up. But if you want the most recent, then I'll show you. Hold on a minute. All right, so there's my Summer Wells playlist. I've got loads of playlists, but you can only display so many on your home page. I think you can, I don't know how many you can display, but I've got a bunch of playlists here. Check these out. Cody Bigsby, Autopsy, Disturbing UK Crime, Letitia Stowe, Coroner Orson, Henrietta Murders, Murdoch. You can go into playlists and find them all there. Creative playlists, all in there somewhere, all there. Yeah, but Summer Wells is on my channel homepage right here. So if you just click on it, that's where we are right now. That was today, that was yesterday, all in order. 516 videos. I think that includes a few that are members only and a few that maybe I've privated. I don't think there's many that are privated. It's just the odd one. But yeah, just keep scrolling, keep scrolling. That's the first one. We need to talk about Summer Wells. And we did need to talk about Summer Wells, and we still need to talk about Summer Wells. We absolutely still need to talk about Summer Wells. But yeah, you can just catch up. You can just catch up. For 516 now. This is the 516th. That also includes what I've got in that playlist. I've also got the videos that are on Michelle Walks. So the Summer Wells videos that are over on Michelle Walks, I've also put into that playlist. All the live streams that I do over on Michelle Walks go into my live streams playlist on this channel. So you can, if you just keep a check on the homepage, then you're not going to miss stuff, even if the notifications don't work for you. Oh, the book. I downloaded the 10% free. So with Kindle, you can download 10% free. So I downloaded that free. I'm not going to buy it because there's nothing in that book that I don't already know. It's not that there's any information that Steve Holder has that I don't have or any of you guys have. Some people just like reading books. For me personally, I told people in my Facebook group this. For me personally, I think it's a little bit premature for a book, even though the case is 2 years old. And we do know some facts. We don't know a great deal, do we? We've got no idea. It's still a complete mystery. And for some people, that would be interesting. And maybe it'll bring in a few people who don't know anything about the case and get them to keep an eye out for Summer, get them interested in the case, get them looking on social media. So I don't think it's a bad thing that somebody's wrote a book. I don't mind somebody making money off a book because, look, I'm here on YouTube talking about Summer Wells. This video is monetized. I've got a new member, Patricia. Welcome, welcome. So memberships is monetized. You know, I would be a complete hypocrite by saying, well, you know, somebody can't write a book because they're making money off Summer Wells. Well, then everybody, you'd have to never watch another true crime video ever again. Because even if the channel isn't monetized, you still might see ads on a video. And guess who's making money off that? YouTube, Google. So Cassie and Tilly's channels are not monetized. But when I play their videos, I get ads on them. And who gets 100% of that ad revenue? YouTube, because they're not monetized channels. This channel's monetized, so I don't remember how many percent I get. Is it 55% and Google gets 45? So every time an ad plays for 30 seconds or more, I get a few pennies and then Google gets a few pennies. So I would be a hypocrite if I said you can't watch Netflix, you can't watch Discovery, you can't watch ID Channel, you can't watch anything. If you're complaining about people making money off true crime cases, then you can't watch anything related to true crime on any medium at all. However, I think the standard, when you're writing a book, I think the standard has to be sufficient to warrant somebody paying that money. Because you pay your money with it. You see, the thing is, with a book, you pay your money up front, right? So, you know, you look at the title and you look at the blurb and you think, oh yeah, I'll buy that. And if it's absolute rubbish, absolute dross, that's a complete waste of money. Whereas in a YouTube video, you can choose to skip off the ads if you want to after 5 seconds or whatever it is. And if you don't like what you're seeing, you can just turn it off. So I think there is a little bit of a difference between books and YouTube, because with a book you're paying up front, whereas a YouTube you're paying, I guess you're paying as you go along, if you will. You know, if you sit through an entire video or an entire stream and you see 2 ads or 3 ads or whatever many ads that YouTube puts on, depends how long the video is, you can choose not to watch them, or you can choose to click off the video completely. Not the same with a book. So I think the standard of a book has to be high, or else the author is just ripping you off. I mean, you know, these self-publishing books, some of them are brilliant. Some self-published books I really enjoy reading. I haven't read a novel for a long time, but I used to read a lot. When I used to go to work on the train, I used to always have a Kindle and a book on the go. And many of the self-published books that I've bought have been brilliant, but some of them have been rubbish, absolute rubbish. And I thought, I've wasted my money there. Oh, well, not to worry. So I think the standard has to be high. So with Steve Holder's book, I'd be interested in knowing what people think of it, if they do buy it. I know it's only very short, but at the end of the day, it's short because we don't have a conclusion. So that's why I just think it's a little bit premature to do a book, because we don't have an ending. I don't know. But I would be interested to see what people think of it once they've read it, if they read it. All right. Okay, let's get into what I want to talk about. So as I said in yesterday's video, I said I was going to... Hold on a minute. I'll have to get rid of this. Do it again. Entire screen. Okay. I said I was just going to go through what I was talking about yesterday to make sure that it's clear. And obviously, if this is live, I can answer questions as we go along. Also, I want to talk a little bit about search dogs. Hold on a minute. Just a sec. I got it up on my phone before, and I didn't do it on here. So hold on. I'll have to remember my search. How many? I found a really good blog post about search dogs. Dead short. And I thought I'd show it you. No, not how long can a dog go without eating. How many days can a dog track? Even spell scent. Oh, that's not it. Oh, that's it. How long can a scent survive? So I want to show you this as well when we get to it. Okay. All right, so this is the map I put together quite a while ago now of like the key locations, and I've shown this map numerous times now, but I'm going to show it again because there's a renewed interest in the Beechcreekers. There's a new interest in, was summer taken by someone in the local area, one of the Beechcreekers? They've all lied, maybe in some way, shape or form. So is there any truth? And this was a revelation by Fred Hill. So Fred Hill lives on Ben Hill Road. Fred Hill lives... yeah, in yesterday's video also, Fred's actually got 2 places. So I showed the property records yesterday for his mother's property. So on the Tennessee tax assessor records, his mother, who died in March of this year, so she's recently deceased, it was her name on the tax assessment records of 207, which is here. And then Fred's dad's name, Ronald Fred Hill, his details, and he died a while ago, his details were on 165, which is here. So now both parents are deceased. Actually, Fred and his sisters presumably own both properties. So I've always assumed that when we talk about the scent alert at Fred's place, it's this one at 165. I've always thought that. But Burn Barrel came along and did a video a couple of days ago and said that actually Fred lives at 207. And I thought, no, that's his mother's place. Anyway, Ziggy's responded to me. So thank you, Ziggy, for responding to me. And Fred does actually live at 207. So that's on the tax assessor records. His dad's name's still on there. And then on this one, his mother's name's on there. But he has a trailer or a residence here. And if you zoom in, now this map, the most recent iteration of this map is 2019. But I think what you can see actually is Fred works at both places. So you've got like bits of cars and I don't know what's down there, down that little track there. But stuff, because Fred does cars. He breaks cars. We call them scrappies in the UK. Now, when people have drove by, like Jonathan Lee Richards has done a drive-by right down to the bottom of Ben Hill. Scott, what's his name? Not Scott H, the other Scott. Scotty Skulls. Scotty Skulls did an excellent drive down Ben Hill because he did it really slowly. And you could see all kind of Fred's cars all kind of parked along the side of the road. So Fred has all these old cars. He breaks them, takes them to the scrappy and gets money for the scrap metal and the parts and stuff like that. So he breaks cars and that's how he makes money. And also selling meth, obviously. But the legitimate business, I guess, that Fred does on the daily is breaking cars. And you get money for it. It's quite lucrative. It really is quite lucrative. Where did Fred take his old vehicles to break them up? He hauls them away, so he'll probably break some there and take parts off, and then the stuff that he wants to scrap, he'll take it to the scrap yard. Now, I think the nearest scrap yard is in Church Hill, but there's a few. If you look for scrap yards around this area, there's a few. Well, it is true. Selling meth, obviously. We know that that's what he was doing. He's in jail. All right, he's not convicted. They could find him not guilty, I guess, if he takes it to trial. Sell scrap to get meth. Yeah, you're probably right there. You're probably right. Fred, stop messing about. Brilliant. Yeah, so I just wanted to clarify that Fred actually does live here, which makes it interesting based on what he said to Ziggy in the very first interview. And I want to once again thank Burn Barrel Show for this, because I have listened to those interviews between Ziggy and Fred Hill. I don't know, it's easily 10 times. And I did not hear what he said. I did not hear it. And he said that a dog alerted at his driveway on one of his trucks. So I just assumed, because we know there was a scent alert here at this area, that it was going to be here, that the dog tracked the scent up here. But apparently not. It must be down here. Now, I guess it could be here, but it could be here because there's two properties in play where Fred's belongings could possibly be. All right, so, but let's start at the beginning. Let's start at the beginning and work systematically step by step, because that's what I said in my title. Geordie Sue's cabin is only there for reference. So that's not in play in this video. That's not in play. So we're not aware of any scent alerts on Geordie Sue's property. I mean, that's not Geordie Sue's property. That's the property owned by Geordie Sue's then partner, Andy Bernard, who's Fred's cousin. When Summer went missing, Geordie Sue was living there with Andy and their 2 kids. And that's his mother's property, Andy's mother's property. Right. And before we go through this step by step, I just want to show you the property lines of who lives where, who actually lives in each of these locations. Yeah, Polly Bernard, yeah. On the tax assessor records, she's Polly Smith, but that's her maiden name. But she married George Andrew Bernard. So, yeah, it's Polly Bernard. That's their property. That's like a long thing piece up there. But, yeah, what I want to show you is this. Not that one. The other one. Summer Wells map. This is what I've been working on. This is an overlay. I've not quite got it spot on, simply because when I took a screenshot from Google, and then I took a screenshot from the tax assessor map and overlaid one over the other, so you could see the property lines. You could see the property lines, but still see Google and still see my pins. I've faffed about with this, and I'll faff about it much more. But what I've done is, and I know this isn't dead clear, but I've tried to put the names in of the people who live based on the 2023 tax assessor records. So this is not the people necessarily who were living here when Summer disappeared. Let's make that very, very, very clear. You don't know what Fred looks like. Oh, I've got to show you Fred. Hold on. Please hold. Please hold. Got to show you Fred. Do I have a picture of Fred on this computer? The one with all my files in is in the repair shop at the moment. I must have Fred on here. I must have Fred. There he is. That was Fred. That was his mugshot in, when was that? 2000 and, when he shot that guy in the neck. That was when that was. Was that 2016, I want to say? Classic mullet. I think he's lost some weight, honestly. Swipe right. I think he's lost a little bit of weight. When you saw the jail call on Ziggy's channel, it does look like he's lost a bit of weight. But then again, you couldn't really see much of his face. Okay, back to this. All right. Okay, so yeah, some of the people who were living there when Summer went missing no longer live there. So these names are based on the tax assessor records 2023. Fight you for him. The meth diet. It looks like Don Wells. Well, he's no relation of Don Wells. None. Absolutely none. No relation. Don blamed drug traffic on Ben Hill since day one And now we're finally kicking around the idea 2 years later. Yeah, well, this is this is what we do. This is what we do on YouTube. But anyway, right. So Wells, 11.2 acres right there, right? And I know this isn't quite lined up. I know that. It's a little bit off. That one's better because I've been faffing about with it today. But this is one that I did yesterday. But it's good enough. It's good enough. All right. So we've got the Wells. And then we've got Jackie Dobbs. So he still owns that little 2.2 acres there. The Chambers live there, although I didn't put them on. But they're the Chambers. This is Polly's. So this is where Jodie Sue was living. So it's Polly Smith on tax assessor, but it's Polly Bernard. And then Tim Smith owns this little plot here. The Thompsons live here. I've not put their names on because we never talk about them. Nobody has never mentioned the Thompsons. They have a really nice house. If you zoom right in on there, it's cut off on this, but and then you've got Fred Hill. Now that's his dad, Ronald Frederick Hill. And then you've got next door is John Smith. And then over the other side of the road, you've got Redmond, and his property it's like a big tract of land, and it also goes on this side of the road, so it crosses the road in between John Smith and Evelyn Hill, and that's 207. So that's 165, that's 207. So those are both connected to Fred Hill. All right, that needs to go a little bit further down. That's still Redmond's there, but I couldn't fit it on because I wanted it to be big enough that everyone can see it. So Evelyn Hill actually needs to be a bit further down. Okay, and then this bit here, this long thin bit is the Gourleys. That's quite a big property because I think that's 2 lots. And then Dishner and a few others. Billy Dishner, he owns this bit here, and then he owns this slither here. So Billy Dishner and another couple of people. And then Mary Sexton. So Mary Sexton died last year, but she's the sister of Don's stepdad. So William Gode, who's Don's stepdad, whose property this was originally, and then when he died, it passed to his mother, and then when she died, it passed to Don. But Mary Gode married Cecil Sexton, and they own 2 slithers. So presumably it's Mary's children who owns this now. Presumably Mary's daughter. So there's a slither here where the house is on, and then there's another slither like a triangle shape here. The Overbears live there. So that's immediately behind the Wells. That's the Overbears. This is owned by someone called Cassie. So on this side of the Wells, because the Wells own that bit there, which is what Don calls the bottom property. Yeah, Mary Sexton died last June. She was very old lady. She'd been ill for a long time. So nothing dodgy about it. She was a very old lady. And it's her daughter, who is the girlfriend of Don Sherfy Sr. So all these people are connected. Now, I don't know who owned that when someone went missing. So it's a weird little piece. It goes like weird shape, kind of like that, and then it's cut off like this. The tax assessor records are cut off. And then we've got, someone called Cider Botham owns a tract of land here. So this is Simpson Road. So you've got Ben Hill Road, which goes down and then up into the mountain. And then you've got Simpson Road, which comes along here. So someone called Cider Botham. Now, as I said, we don't know. We have absolutely no idea. Well, I don't know. You might know, but I don't know who owned this land at the time Summer disappeared. I don't know that. Now, this is new because when Summer disappeared, it was someone called Joshua Phillips who owned this piece, kind of a few acres here. So this is Beech Creek Road, and the footprints that we all talk about, one of those footprints was found on his land in his woods. He no longer owns that. And there is a company that, you remember Joshua? Yeah, I'll show you some of his screenshots. Got loads of his screenshots because he was talking in the very early days about this case and just got so much abuse that he took all his posts down. But fortunately, some of the screenshots survived, talking about the footprints on his land. And also there's some of the conversation between him and Christy Morg, who is the daughter of Mary Gord, because there was footprints found on their land as well, here. So anyway, Joshua sold, and there's a real estate company called Country Places Inc., who seem to be buying up land along Beech Creek. So these are the out-of-staters that Jodie Sue talks about. But they've got quite a lot of different pieces of land now. So presumably they're going to, I don't know, sell them off, presumably. But they're not for sale at the moment because I looked at their website. Let's do the website. Country Places Inc. They're based in Knoxville. So it's just a real estate company. They're buying up land. You can get finance from them. This is the team. Oh, Brian Nelson. But they're buying up land on Beech Creek, as well as other places. All right. So you can buy land in, well, that's the type of land. What states can I buy it in? Let's do Tennessee. I think it tells you what states. Hold on a minute. Did I spell Tennessee wrong? Those are facts. Let's just look at them all. But none of that land on Beech Creek is on this at the moment. So Kentucky. They're just buying up rural places and they're going to sell it for a profit, I guess. Alabama. Hillman, Tennessee. Jamestown, Tennessee. But none of this on Beech Creek is currently on their website. I had a good look yesterday. But it's just Country Places Inc. So countryplacesinc.com it is. If anybody wants to go and check them out. All right. Okay, so those are the people who live there in the immediate vicinity. Now, the places that are important are the places where we know that there were scent alerts. Now, there's only one scent alert that's been talked about by... Who owns what? Who owns that company? I'm assuming you mean somebody called Brian Nelson, president and owner of Country Places Inc. And then this is the team. It's just a real estate company. I don't think there's anything dodgy in it at all. Don't go harassing them. There's nothing dodgy in it. It's just they're buying up land. It's what, I mean, in this country, I think just about every free piece of land, you know, that's been available has been bought up a long time ago, and it's now so expensive. I mean, the prices of this land is just, I'm like, my word, it's so cheap. So cheap. Does it tell me the price? Yeah, 71k for 10 acres. 44k for 5 acres. Anyway, yeah. So we only know from law enforcement. So the only actual confirmed fact that we have about the scent alerts is from Sheriff Ronnie Lawson. He confirmed that a dog tracked summer scent down a trail. Don said it's the dog trail, which goes from the kind of the back door down the road to let's go on this area. Catherine, it's my opinion. Oops, jump then. That they finally busted Fred to see if he's going to start talking. And he sure has started. Yeah. Well, he's kind of like the local gossip. Are there any places she could have fell down? Yes, there is. There is. All right, let's go down. You can't go down to Street View on Google Earth. But what you do get a good look at is the elevation. So if you look right down at the bottom, I don't know whether you can actually see it, but here where it says that's elevation. That's the meters above sea level. So it doesn't matter how many meters above sea level it is. It's the change of the elevation that shows you how high something is. So if you do it flat like that, you can see that the Wells Hill is like a little mound. And then you've got Ben Hill Road. And then if you look at it from that way like that, that's the whole mountain. So the hill that the Wells live on is just a little blip. Just a little like, that's wrong. Google's wrong. The house is on top of the hill, actually. The house is up here. So for whatever reason, that's a bit skew with. But you can see how high the mountain is compared to that little hill. But still. So the dog trail comes from the back door down onto Ben Hill Road. That's the dog trail. Just let me zoom out a little bit. And Don said it comes down through the trees. It's only a very short trail. It's only a couple of minutes through the trees onto Ben Hill Road. Now, Don told the news and has told everybody that the dog tracked Summer scent down the dog trail. The house has slipped down. It has. It has. That hill's so steep that the house has slipped down. There's loads of places on Google where there's this little weird stuff it does. Especially in these older maps. Because this is the most recent, 2019. So when they update it, maybe they'll get it right. I don't know. Now, the first reports came out that a dog had followed Summer's scent down the driveway, which is here. This is the driveway. And actually, if we turn the time back, if we go back in time to 2012, you can see things a lot clearer because the trees aren't as prominent. See, the map's not as good because the trees are not as realistic, but you actually see the trails a lot better. So Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, it didn't confirm that the scent had gone down the driveway, but what he did confirm is that Summer scent was tracked off the property onto Ben Hill Road, which is here. Do I have pics of the camp cam found? Possibly, but not on this computer. I've got them on my other one because the other one that's currently in the repair shop has got all my stuff on. I do have it all backed up on an external hard drive, but I'd have to leave you for about 10 minutes to try and find the right one. So I probably do have those photos somewhere, but locating them right at this moment in time, I'm not sure I can. All right, so for me, it doesn't really matter whether the dog followed Summer scent down the dog trail or down the driveway or even down any other of these trails. Now, Cam from Cracking Cases speculated on whether the trail actually went down the bus trail. Now, because this is from 2012, the bus wasn't there then. So the bus only arrived in 2019, the bus isn't there. The bus still isn't there that's February 2019. But there's a trail that goes down the back of the bus and it joins the driveway right here. Go back to 2012 because I prefer this view. So it would go down here somewhere and it joins the driveway. And there's actually like monkey bars, like a jungle gym behind that bus. So could it be that the kids were playing on those monkey bars? I think possibly the kids were playing on those monkey bars. Because the boys told Sheriff Ronnie Lawson that they last saw Summer going out of the back door, which is the basement door. Not that they last saw Summer going down to the basement. That's wrong. It was on the news from Sheriff Ronnie Lawson that her brothers last saw her going out of the basement, door. Candalee, member for 14 months, got to go, we'll watch later. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine. Enjoy. And thank you for your continued support. Maybe they didn't all see the same thing, Susan. Yeah. That's absolutely right. That Jodie Sue said the boys said they last saw Summer on the swing. But the first time Jodie Sue came out with that, she said the swing set, that the boys last saw Summer on the swing set. Now, that rope swing for me isn't a swing set. And actually, a swing set is more like the monkey bars that are behind the bus. Now, the monkey bars at the right this moment in time are quite old and a little bit kind of, I don't know, not broken, but they're a little bit old. Maybe the boys still call that a swing set. Maybe there was a swing attached to that at some point in the past, and they still call it a swing set. But that's just my speculation. But I think Cam makes a good point that if the kids were playing on that stuff behind that bus, and Somerset was tracked off the property, then it could be that they tracked her down past the bus and then onto the driveway. So that's what law enforcement have confirmed. So that is a confirmed fact. Confirmed fact. And we'll talk about scent dogs and the abilities of scent dogs in a minute. I just want to explain the rest of these scent alerts. Now, we'll leave it on 2012 because it just looks really clear on 2012. Now, some other facts that we know. Hold on a minute. I've got too many windows open. It's getting a bit dark. I'm going to turn my camera off now. We'll go full screen now. Some other facts we know, and I consider these facts, but informal facts. That's what I would call them. Like, they've not been formally confirmed by law enforcement, but they have been discussed by several neighbours. And for me, in those early days, those neighbours that just happened to be living in that area don't have any reason to lie, because it wasn't a big case then. No, that's right. The tree swing is not a swing set by any stretch of the imagination. No, I'd call that a rope swing. That's what we call them. So it was Mr. Phillips who, get this back to its right orientation. It was Mr. Phillips who told the world, well, told a Facebook group, that footprints had been found on his land. Now, Mr. Phillips lived in this area here where Country Places Inc. own land now. So it's around here, this area. So it's a Beech Creek Road address. And the property is quite away from the road and it's on a ridge. So the woods, I don't know whether you can see it really well on here. If I go back to 2019, it's clearer. And then we zoom in a bit and try and go flat. You can see how high this gets very quickly. So if you look at the elevation down here, Beech Creek Road is about 405, 406 meters, 407 meters above sea level. But as you go off the road and start going up the mountain, look how quickly this goes. Right, so we're 405. Watch. Start walking up this ridge. 415, 417, 420, 421, 23, 24, 26, 27, 30. Very quickly. So it's pretty steep up this ridge. And these maps do not do this landscape justice. They don't. They really don't. Wait. You see, that's Simpson Road there. Look how high that is. And that's the ridge that we all talk about. So it runs, kind of runs the whole back side of Simpson Road. So Simpson Road's here. So you see there's this flat area here where there was a scent alert. That's the goalie's land. And then you've got this, you've just got this very steep rise. And this ridge goes all along the back of Simpson Road. And then it starts to go back down towards the road. And obviously, if you keep going this way, along this ridge, then you start climbing up the mountain. So when we talk about these footprints, all right, we'll track it from, we'll track the elevation from Simpson Road. So this is Simpson Road here. So Simpson Road is pretty bumpy. It's pretty high. So 413, 414, 15, 18, 19. So it undulates quite a bit, Simpson Road. But look when I go up this ridge. So we're on 422 here. Watch this. 427, 29, 31, 34, 36, 39, 40, 44, 47. So it's about 447. So it's easily, so from 421, about 20, 25 meters rise very quickly. So steep, a steep incline. Now, yes, of course, a kid could climb up that. A mountain kid who's used to being active and, you know, a city kid probably would struggle. But listen, my kids, when they were like 3, used to climb up the top of Rivington, which is the hill you can see in the distance in some of my videos. And I tell you what, it's steeper than this. And my kids at age 3 could climb up that, 3 or 4. But would they have done it on their own? Probably not. Probably not, no. Whose trailer is that? Which one? This one. That little piece here, where the trailer is now, is owned by Brown and someone. No relative of Jodie Sue Brown as far as I know. And then to the side of it, there's a little tiny square that's a cemetery. But I don't know who owned that when Summer disappeared, because this is the 2023 tax assessor records. Presumably the cemetery has always been the cemetery. It's just a tiny square of land. But the trailer is sat on a small piece of land here. But whose land that was when Summer disappeared, I've heard it was the Arnolds, but we don't know. And there's so many Arnolds in Beech Creek and Church Hill that trying to work out which Arnold is related to which Arnold is quite a feat. I've not got to the bottom of it all yet. I'm going to talk about what scents dogs go for, Jennifer, shortly, but they go for the newest scent, or the freshest, the strongest scent. It's not necessarily the newest scent, it's the strongest scent. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the strongest scent is the newest scent. That's why I want to talk about that once I've gone through this. Okay, so Mr. Phillips reported to Facebook in the days after Summer disappeared that they'd found a barefooted child-size footprints on his land in the woods behind his house. So I don't know exactly where this is. I think probably this is a little bit too close to the road. I don't know exactly where this footprint was found. But we do know that there was an all-night search on the 19th of June. So someone went missing on the 15th. On the 19th of June, there was an all-night search because they were following up on a lead. And that's the lead that they were following up on. But law enforcement did not want to talk about it. On the press conference on the 21st, that would have been the Monday, Leslie Earhart basically said we were following up on a lead and Summer hasn't been found, and that was it. And she shut the conversation down. Do we know she was barefoot? Yes. Summer was always barefoot. And in her missing information on her Amber Alert, it said she was most probably barefoot. So yes, we do know that. Okay. All right, I'll show you this as well. Just get rid of this. Do I need to save that? I might as well. I'll just show you a couple of these screenshots from Mr. Phillips. I've got loads of these because he was posting a lot. But these are interesting because this shows a conversation between Mr. Phillips, Joshua Phillips, and Christy Mark. And she also said that some footprints were found on her land. So there's actually two sets of child-size footprints, but high on a ridge. Why 4 days after the 15th they search, or is it the second search? They were searching non-stop for 13 days. That's the first search, was 13 days. So they'd start off at the house and work out. So I believe that the dog tracked her scent down off the yard to the road on the 16th. And then it was the 19th that a dog found the footprints on Mr. Phillips' land. But it was all part of the same search. Obviously different teams because they had to rest, and different teams of dogs because they never just rely on one dog. And the scent was allegedly found on Phillips' land Saturday the 19th. Yes, Irene. Yes. I've talked about the footprints so many times, and people are only just really starting to listen right now. So if Fred Hill was a complete liar, at least it's got people thinking about the information that's been out, that's been talked about not only by me, but talked about by quite a few creators over these months and years. We're into the years now. We're into the multiple years that we've talked about the footprints, saying this is important. What does it mean? What does it mean? Okay, so this is Mr. Phillips talking to Facebook. Same neighbour told me it wasn't in their yard, but on a ridge behind their house. I got tired of sitting around waiting, so I went and asked deputies if we had permission to search our own land and was told yes. And then he attached a screenshot of his conversation between him and his neighbour. All right. So that's this. I've just blown it up a little bit. Okay. Actually, I'll read this one. I'll read this one first. So here we go. This is the one. So this is a conversation between Christy Mark, who is the daughter of Mary Gold, lives on Simpson Road, and Mr. Phillips, Joshua Phillips. So any new clues down your way? And then Mr. Phillips says, I stopped and talked to the deputies yesterday, asked them if they want us to stay off the land so we don't disturb anything, or if they wanted us looking. They said, by all means, get out and search every last inch of our property. When I get home from work, we are going to start looking. So that was June 25th. And then Christy says, okay, let me know if anything stands out. Mom and I searched what we could, and she just isn't able, and neither am I. So that's Christy. Now, Mary Gold, Mary Sexton, very old lady. There's no way she could go searching for a little girl on a ridge. But what Sheriff Ronnie Lawson did say was that if there's any residents of Beech Creek who were not able to search their own land, let them know, and they would send deputies to search it for them. So I hope that Christy Mork or Mary rang up Sheriff Ronnie Lawson and said, we believe the deputies found a footprint on our land. This is what we were told. There's a footprint on a ridge on our land. Please, can you come and thoroughly search it? I hope that was done. I really hope that was done. Okay. So again, this is this. But I blew it up. This is this, but I blew it up because this, in my opinion, is the most important piece of information that we've ever been told by a neighbour. And again, this is a conversation between Christy Mork and Mr. Phillips. Listen to this. Have you ever seen this before? I've shown it before. Have you ever really attended to it though? Well, I heard they had found footprints and also believe there is a dog with her. They also found footprint next to us and on our land. Did you put food and water out for her? That one paragraph tells me a huge amount. Is it a lie? It could be. It could be neighbours just chatting away about this missing girl and spreading what they've heard, and it becomes the game of telephone. But that is so interesting. I had heard they had found footprints. Well, yes, she heard they'd found footprints because it was on Mr. Phillips' land. So she'd heard that footprints were found, but she's actually talking to Mr. Phillips. But they also found footprints next to us and on our land. Did you all put water and food out for her? Also believe there is a dog with her. What if Summer was playing with a dog or dogs? Because remember, the dogs weren't there that day. What if the dogs got a scent? Some of the dogs, not all of the dogs, because there was a mama dog. She wouldn't have left her puppies, right? What if a few of the dogs got a smell, like dogs do, and wandered away, and Summer followed? And what if those dogs came home and Summer didn't? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Now, why would the dogs leave Summer behind? Is a question. If this is true, now there's a number of reasons why they might leave Summer behind. Because, as Don says, they're stupid dogs. They're not pets. They're not really like Cassie Tilly. I don't know about Noodle. I don't know. I've never tested Noodle. I will test Noodle though and see what he does when I do my strange things, my experiments. But I know full well if I was injured, Cassie and Tilly would stay with me. Tilly would definitely stay with me. Cassie might go home and raise the alarm eventually. If we were just in the field, I think she might, because she's a brain box. She might work it out that just sitting here indefinitely isn't really going to solve anything. Therefore, I'm going to go home and I'm going to tell someone. So there's numerous things. What if those dogs just wandered away and left Summer, and they were so busy following a scent because they're practically feral, and they left Summer behind and Summer couldn't keep up with them? So they weren't being faithful dogs. They were following a scent in their own right. They were following a scent and Summer couldn't keep up with them and was lost. Okay, that's one possibility. Another possibility is Summer was injured. They stayed with her for a little while and then thought, oh, well, we might as well go home. And the dogs went home. And no one realised that the dogs knew anything about the disappearance of Summer, because dogs can't speak human. The other possibility is the dogs came home because Summer had been abducted. So Summer wasn't there anymore. That's true, Rick. I believe that as well. If they could just find Summer's remains, people would begin to talk. I think they would. I think they would. You find it hard to believe a bunch of dogs just decided to leave at the perfect time. Yeah, but remember, these dogs are not fenced in. These dogs come and go as they please anywhere. And it might not mean that all of the dogs left, just that some of the dogs left. The dogs were coming and going as they pleased. It wasn't like they were pet dogs that escaped from a yard, that were fenced in and escaped from a yard because, I don't know, abductor let them out. These dogs could come and go. So the males probably, you know, if a female was in season the other side of Beech Creek, they would be able to smell that there was a dog in season at the other side of Beech Creek, and the males would leave. That's what they do. Don said they were all gone. Yeah, but Don wasn't there though, was he? Don was at work. There was at least one dog on the property. We know that for a fact because when Chris McDonough visited in July, there was a mama dog with pups underneath the house. Now, when Summer disappeared, that mama dog had to be either heavily pregnant or had just had those pups. So she wouldn't have left, because if she just had pups or she was heavily pregnant, she wouldn't wander away. She would be nesting. So we don't actually know how many dogs left. If any dogs left, we don't know. Anyway. Okay. And then this is back to Mr. Phillips. So, actually, that's not, I don't think that's Mr. Phillips. That's Mr. Phillips, I think. That's Christie. I think that's someone else. We'd not put anything out, but that's a good idea. We were just trying to avoid the area until they finished searching. Search crews of about 20 people all over our land. Are you all the house on the corner of Ben Hill and Beech Creek? No, she was on Simpson, but anyway. I've got loads, though, from Mr. Phillips. Message from neighbour to me telling me she heard they found a footprint. The one on my land. Oh, yeah, that is Mr. Phillips, not someone else. Yeah, Mr. Phillips. telling me about their land. Law enforcement had said for locals not to get involved, so we were avoiding the area so we didn't hinder any search efforts. They were not the house that is on the corner of Ben Hill and Beech Creek. I will not give their location away or their name. We know who they are now, but at the time. I've got loads of screenshots, but I've just chosen those because those are the most interesting ones, and those are the ones that don't get shared. They don't get shared, and they should get shared a lot. Anyway, so footprints on Mr. Phillips' land, footprints on Mary's land, somewhere around here, and we know that those ones were high on a ridge. So I've kind of put it, again, I don't know exactly where they were, but Mary's house is about here, and then the ridge is here. So the footprint's high up. Now, yes, of course, Summer could have climbed up there on her own. Of course she could. But would she have? Would she have? And the other important thing is it wasn't a consistent trail. It was just one or two footprints in one location. AJ, you can go and be the replay crew and listen to my rant on Michelle Walks. The property next door to the side Bothams, not sure whether they live there or rent it out. It was Mr. Phillips in 2021. It's now changed hands. It belongs to a real estate company now. Okay, so what leads me to believe that she was carried up there? That's right. We could have got a lot of information from that neighbour, but social media ran him off because what he was saying didn't fit their narrative. And remember, he was talking within days of her going missing. Within days. And he ended up leaving because people were just turning up at his place saying, you know, have you got Summer? Have you got Summer? But that's what social media does, unfortunately. All right, so because the dogs just found one or two footprints and didn't follow a consistent trail, this tells me a couple of things. Could it be that someone was carrying her? That was Mr. Phillips' theory at the time, that someone was carrying her and then she was either wriggling or, you know, like sometimes you just got to change. Well, if you're carrying a child, remember, this is difficult terrain. You're carrying a child and you've just got to put them down to change position. So you sit her down on the floor for, 2 or 3 seconds just to change position. So she makes 2 or 3 footprints and then she's picked up again. Was any part of Ben Hill ever treated as a crime scene? No, because a missing persons case isn't a crime. So it's only if there's clear information that a crime has been committed and that person has gone missing that they would ever treat a scene as a crime scene. However, they did block it all off. So although they didn't have like the police tape and all of that stuff, they had roadblocks in place within a couple of hours. Like you couldn't go down Ben Hill Road unless you were a resident. It's too late for any of these scents now, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll talk about that. So that's the footprints. And then it was Cam from Cracking Cases who talked about this scent alert. Now, again, I don't know exactly where this is. but I believe it's on the Gourley's land somewhere near the creek. Now, this is Limestone Branch, the creek's name. Oh, sorry, that's the creek there, Limestone Branch. So let's move it round that way. So I think that's the Gourleys. I think it is anyway. Oh, that's the main house, I think. But that's the Gourley's land. So there's a scent alert somewhere here. And Cam said, I don't remember whether he got it from Mr. Gourley himself or he got it from the private investigator. I'm not sure. And then Fred Hill said that there was a scent alert on his land and a dog alerted on his truck. Now, as I said right at the beginning, I assumed because there was a scent alert here that the dog would have followed a scent up here. But no, because Fred was living down here. Now, it looks further than it actually is. It's actually half a mile from the bottom of the Wells driveway to the bottom of the driveway at 207. That's half a mile. So easily doable for a child. Easily. You wonder how Chad Arnold got off Ben Hill Road and if he talked to Ellie that night. Good question. Good question. Everyone's looking at Chad Arnold now. So for those who don't know who Chad Arnold is, Chad Arnold lives near Cotton Simpson, or at least he did then. And Cotton Simpson lives at about 5 miles away. We've got Cotton Simpson in here somewhere. Ooh. That's where Cotton Simpson lives, next door to Laurel Run Park. So Cotton Simpson is the guy who died. He died in February of this year. But Fred, in his jailhouse revelation to Ziggy, said that it's Cotton Simpson who's responsible. That's right, 178. Yeah, that's the goalies. One call to Ziggy that has just set the internet alight with this speculation. And I'm not discounting this. I'm still not discounting it. I think it's highly suspicious that Fred, now he's in jail, suddenly comes out with this because Mr. Cotton Simpson has been dead since February. So if Cotton Simpson told Fred that he's responsible for Summer's disappearance and he hid her body in a cave in Laurel Run Park, and this is Laurel Run Park right here. Cotton lives here. Cotton can literally walk along his backyard and go into the back end of the park. This is why I'm not discounting this issue. Because look, the park where everybody goes, the place where the parking area is, where everybody goes, is here, near the river, Laurel Run Park. But what Cotton Simpson has the benefit of is coming at Laurel Run Park from the back end where nobody goes. This is why I'm not discounting this. I'm not discounting it at all. Because look at all that there. Look at how steep that is. Now that's a cliff. I bet you any money, there's all sorts of little caves, indents, little areas. Look at that. Look at that there. That's a trail there, going all the way up along there. You can tell just by the way Let's take that back to 2012. Oh, no, it doesn't work. Oh, look, 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 look. Yeah, it does a little bit. Look. That's a trail. Up there. All along there. Up. That's a walked trail. Just by the way that the trees are kind of parted. So I'm not discounting this. I just think it's very, very suspicious that Fred Hill would come out with this after all of these months, would come out with this, because he's had this information for several months, because he's been dead. Cotton's been dead since February. He fell off a cliff in February, allegedly. Some of his family members have come out and actually said he did fall off a cliff. But his family are not happy. His family are not happy with Fred for doing this because Cotton is dead and he can't defend himself. So his family have now got to listen to all of us YouTubers talking about Cotton when he's dead. If Fred wanted to accuse Cotton Simpson, why did he not accuse him when he was alive? I just find it weird. I find it suspicious. But at the same time, I can't discount that somebody might have taken Summer's body to this area. And Mr. Chad Arnold lives... I don't think I've got Chad's area in here. I've not. He was living at 170 California Avenue. But there's a lot. If you look up addresses for Chad Arnold, there's loads. But I found the address for his mother. Right here. And Chad is connected to this address. So I can't work out as of yet how Cotton Simpson and Chad Arnold are related. Cotton Simpson's mother, her maiden name was Arnold. But what I can't figure out is exactly how they're related, Chad and Cotton. They're not close relatives. It's not like the cousins. They're not. Some people have been saying the cousins. They're not. I know they're not cousins. They will be related, but distantly. So that's how far away it is. Just by... Let's do miles. In a straight line, 3 miles. So what? 10 minutes by a manual. I don't know how you would do it by a road. Anyway. Now, whether Chad was living there at the time somebody disappeared, I can't tell you. All I can say is that's one of the addresses that I found for him. His mother's most recent address is actually further towards Rogersville. I think it's like Elm Street or something like that. But anyway, Chad wasn't connected to that address. His most recent address that he's connected to is this one. If that makes any sense whatsoever. So, yeah, Fred definitely set the cat amongst the pigeons when he accused Cotton Simpson. But the other thing we also know is that, and this was confirmed by Candice, so this was said by Fred and confirmed by Candice, that Chad Arnold was on Fred's driveway when Candice was looking for Summer. When did Ernie offer to search the caves? Ernie offered to search the caves on Ben Hill Road. And we don't even know that there are any caves on Ben Hill Road. But Laurel Run Park, anybody can go and search Laurel Run Park. It's a national estate park. Right? It's not private property. So if you're in the area and you are good at hiking, right, don't put yourself in any danger, like climbing up ravines if you're not used to it. We don't want you dead, like Cotton Simpson. But this is a state park. You would better believe if I didn't live 4,000 miles away, right, if I lived in that area, I would have been there every single day since that revelation was made. I'd have gridded out that entire area. Me and Cassie would have walked that entire area, one little piece at a time. So if you're in the area and you can hike, especially if you've got a dog that's agile enough, go. Because even if your dog's not trained, you know what I'm saying, don't you? Even if your dog's not trained, there's still smell things. When Don went to Fred's that night, he never said he saw Chad Arnold. That's true. So we've got to look at the timing of all this, right? So Fred, this is why I wanted to do this all step by step. So Fred told Ziggy that he left. This is so convenient. So convenient. He told Ziggy that he left Ben Hill Road about 4:30 to go to the store, I think he said. I think that's what he said. He was going to the store. He'd been out breaking cars all day. So 4:30 he leaves. Comes back 7 to 7:30 and Ben Hill Road's already locked down because the cops had already arrived. Right? So he's away. Just so happens he's away at the time Summer disappears. Because we know that Summer disappeared sometime between 3:30-ish when they got home and 6 o'clock-ish. So Fred is away. During the time Fred's away, so this is now going to be between 4:30 when Fred left and about 6 when Geordie Sue saw Candice going out looking for Summer. So remember, Geordie Sue said she heard them shouting for Summer at 6:09. And actually, Geordie Sue's cabin comes in handy. Geordie Sue having a relaxing afternoon with her children in their cabin. Cabin's about here-ish, right? So it's I don't know, a few hundred feet away as the crow flies. 6:09, Geordie Sue starts to descend her driveway. All right, we'll go back to 2012 where you can see it better. So she starts to descend her driveway. I don't even think you can even see it on this. Here we go. Geordie Sue's driveway, right, comes along here. So she starts the walk down her driveway. And 6:09 was the time she last sent Andy a message. Right? So she knows it's roughly 6:09 and she could already hear them shouting for Summer. So she gets down to the road and she starts looking around to see if Summer's like got in the creek. There's creek runs along here. Look, creek runs along here. And there's also Beech Creek that runs along here. See the line of it there. All right. And she sees Candice coming down the driveway. Candice is talking to Don on the speaker, on speakerphone. And Geordie Sue, Candice exchange words. And then Geordie Sue continued to look for Summer. She got in the creek and she walked round. She got in the creek. I don't know where she got in the creek. Maybe here somewhere. I don't know. She got in the creek and she walked all the way around. Because the creek goes all the way around like a moat, like an old-fashioned medieval castle. Goes all the way around like a moat. So Geordie Sue's walking around here. Meanwhile, Candice is out looking for Summer. Candice tells Chris McDonough that she went all the way down the holler, so all the way down Ben Hill, as far as she could go. So she drove all the way down here, as far as she could go, all the way down here, all the way down here. And then at some point, you can't go any further. It's blocked off now. Somebody's put like a chain up or something. Now, you can probably, if you had I don't know, ATV or a horse, you could carry on, and you could carry on all the way up into the mountain. You can walk all the way up into the mountain. Look at this. Look, there's even cabins up there. But in a car, a truck, look at all these little trails here that you can see so clearly when you turn the time back to 2012. All right. But Candice was in a vehicle, so she could probably get to here-ish, and then she'd have to turn round. So she went all the way back down the holler, then all the way back, and then she went all the way along Beech Creek to the church. So Carmel's Church is along here somewhere. That's Carmel's Church there, whatever it's called. So she went there. Maybe she went to Solomon's, which is the other way. She was driving this way and that way and this way and that way. That's what she told Chris McDonough. So that was between, roughly, who put the chain up? Somebody who owns the land put a chain up. They do this kind of stuff around there. All right. So, yeah, so between about, let's say, 6:10 and 7, when the cops started to arrive, Candice was out looking for Summer. All right. And Chad Arnold saw Candice. So Chad Arnold was in the driveway of Fred's sometime between 4:30 and 7 and saw Candice. So did he see Candice between 6:15 and 7 when she was out and about looking for Summer? Or did Candice leave the hill twice? As a lot of us, including me, have speculated that she did. So did Chad Arnold actually see her earlier? But whichever it is, Candice confirmed that she saw Chad Arnold and another man that she does not recognize on Fred's driveway. Now, how did Chad leave and this other man? How did they leave without being seen by the cops? Well, the obvious thing is they left before the cops got there. Or they left via one of the trails that are everywhere. Because the cops, once they arrive, so this would be like 7 onwards, they blocked off Ben Hill Road. But that doesn't mean to say that you can't disappear into the mountain or further along Beech Creek. Look, right. This is the path that, do you remember that Brandon guy? When JLR went to Light Hollow Road, did anybody see that video? So Light Hollow Road's down here where Frank Light lives. So Frank Light lives here. And JLR went down here. You got to give the guy some credit. This is ballsy, right? Went down here, and this guy called Brandon kind of befriended him and took him from Light Hollow Road to Ben Hill Road through the trees. It's pretty ballsy. I'd have done that. If I'd have met one of the locals, I wouldn't have cared whether they were like got a weapon or whatever. I'd have like, yeah, go on then, let's have a walk. So what Brandon did was he took JLR along here, and it comes out. There's various ways it can come out. It can come out along here, and then you can get through here. there, there. And that is what? A few yards? A few hundred yards? Not far at all. So that's the end of Light Hollow Road. You can see there's a trail down there that connects with that lot. There's a trail there that connects with Ben Hill Road. Pretty sure you can connect around there. So I'm not actually sure whether JLR went that way. But whichever way, they came out on Ben Hill Road. Right? So if Chad Arnold and this other unidentified man needed to leave quickly, there's so many ways they could have gone. They could have gone that way. They could have gone the other way. Watch this. Watch how you can disappear along here and turn up miles away. So there's a trail there. So you don't have to go past the goalies because there's a trail there, but you don't have to go past the goalies. You can go there, right? Can you see how clear that trail is? In 2012, you see it all. So you can walk over this ridge, along here, gets a bit high there. You maybe drop down a bit there, and it joins Bell Road. There's Bell Road. Bell Road, Fields Road's there. You come out 2 miles down the road. So if you were up to no good on Ben Hill Road and you wanted to escape, you could turn up 2 miles down the road and wander away. Or you could go turn up 2 miles down the road this way just by following the trails. And as long as you're fairly fit, you could do it. And you wouldn't have to be that fit. You wouldn't have to be that fit because this is the foothills of the mountain, honestly. I mean, that's the actual mountain there. These are just the foothills of that mountain. So yeah. So was Chad Arnold there for nefarious reasons? Now, an interesting theory that the Burn Barrel Show has that really got me thinking was how to connect all of these different scent alerts. So who owns the trailer with the cars everywhere right behind the Wells house? It's straight back, but still on the ridge. This one. That's from 2012. They're not there in 2019. It's all been tidied up. I assume you mean that one. Because that's not on the ridge. The ridge is at the back end of Simpson Road. Look. The ridge is up there. Along there. This is... Yes, it's a hill, but it's a much smaller hill. That's fairly flat, actually. I mean, it's not. It's a slope, but from the well shed at the bottom there. Ooh, didn't mean to do that. From the well shed at the bottom there, the bottom property, you can just walk up this cutting onto Simpson Road, and then you can wander along Simpson Road, come out there, wander along. So the question is, how do we connect all of these scent alerts? Is it possible that Summer was wandering around this entire area, playing on her own or following dogs, and leaving these scent alerts? Well, yeah, it's possible. It's possible that there's a lot more scent alerts that we don't know about. It's possible that what we are trying to do is piece together a 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzle when actually 400 of the pieces are missing. We don't have the full story. So it could be possible that there's a lot more scent alerts in this vicinity that we are just not aware of. Now, Burn Barrel Show had an interesting theory that if Summer came down the bus trail or the driveway, doesn't matter which, she could have got in the creek. Whoop. It's night time now. There we go. So there's a creek that comes down from the mountain called Limestone Branch, which is this creek here. And it follows the road. It goes under the road at Simpson. And then it joins Beech Creek there, comes along and joins Beech Creek there. So the wells are surrounded by a creek on 3 sides. So Beech Creek goes round and then goes along there. Limestone Branch comes along here and then joins Beech Creek here. So the theory that Burnt Barrel Show is maybe Summer got in a creek. So she came down here and was just playing around the creek and started to follow the creek and to see how far she could go. And actually, she can get quite far because the creek goes all the way along here. Limestone Branch goes all the way along here, and then she'd have to get out probably like around here. And then it goes under this kind of road here and then comes back and follows the mountain, keeps going, following the mountain up. Now, obviously, the water's flowing down the mountain. So is it possible Summer did that? Yes, it's possible. And that would link this scent alert with the scent alerts further down here. Because this is what is important to learn about search dogs. But what confuses me is that makes absolute sense. That makes absolute sense that a little girl, maybe playing with her dog, would be splashing about in the creek. It's only dead shallow, barefooted, so whatever. She's playing around on the grass, playing around in the creek, and it masks her scent because for a lot of the time she's in water. Now, dogs can scent in water, but hold that thought, we'll get there. But what confuses me is why then, if that's what Summer did, why then are there footprints on Mary's land and on Mr. Phillips' land? Because it leads me to believe that if all of these scent alerts were Summer from the 15th of June, that she was picked up somewhere and she was walked along here and then out onto Beech Creek. That's just a suggestion. It makes complete sense to me. But it's just one theory. But what intrigues me more than anything is when law enforcement do searches, and they haven't done a search since February 2022, they always focus around this area. They always focus between Ben Hill Road and Fields Road, Bell Road, this area. When you look at the flight path of the helicopter, it goes in circles around here. Circle, 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 circle around here. And it's a place where there were scent alerts. Yeah, I agree with you, Pink Fan. There's missing time because Candice wasn't watching Summer. Summer was out a lot longer than Candice realised. If she was injured and she couldn't get up, I feel if Ellie had searched like this. I think if Summer had been injured or attacked by an animal, I think she would have been found. That said, it's very rough terrain, especially in the summer months when that terrain is really dense. And there might be crevices that a little body could fall into that would not be noticed. And remember, the search dogs can only search in the places that they can actually walk. Because where the terrain is so thick, there are areas where a dog can't get. Because they're not going to allow a dog to get into brambles and stuff that are so thick that that dog could possibly get injured, because those dogs are worth a lot of money. So I think if Summer wandered off, I think if Summer had literally wandered away, I think if she was in that vicinity, I think she would have been found. If she'd wandered further than they realised, because she was gone a lot longer than they realised, then it could be possible that she was lying injured further away than they actually searched in those first couple of weeks. And that's a really sad thought. But because there were so many people looking for her, you'd think that even if she'd wandered onto someone's property 2 miles away, that they would have done the decent thing and searched their property. But then again, not everybody will have done it. Okay, let's for the last bit of this, let's talk about search dogs again. I always end up talking about search dogs, but let's talk about search dogs again. So I found this little blog post that I thought was really interesting. And it's actually talking about finding your lost pet. And can you find a lost pet using another dog? Can another dog find your lost pet? And it doesn't matter whether a dog is out looking for a lost pet or a lost human. The situation's the same, right? So I thought some of this information was interesting. Now, remember, let me just be clear. Remember, there's two main types of search dogs. You've got live scent dogs who are tracking living people. And then you've got cadaver dogs that are tracking dead people. They're searching for the scent of death, right? In the early parts of a search, in the first few days of a search for any missing person, the dogs they bring out first are the live scent trackers. Right? Not cadaver dogs. Cadaver dogs come next when they can't find that person and they have to then start thinking about scenarios that this person might be no longer alive. Then they bring in the cadaver dog teams. But for the first few days, on any search, they focus on the chances that this person is alive and lying injured somewhere or unconscious or whatever. But they're alive. So what they want to get is the live scent trackers out there. So how they do it is they get a scent article from the person, the target person, the person that's lost. They get the dog to sniff it. The dog's trained to sniff that scent, and they know that that's the scent that they are out to track. And they ignore all other scents. So they have to turn off their dog brain, right? They have to turn off. All dogs can track, some better than others. All dogs can track. It's just a natural instinct. The training that's involved in these dogs is for them to ignore everything else. Because what you don't want is your dog to turn up on a search, and the dog is so ADHD or so badly trained that instead of searching for the person that they've been asked to search for, they decide to follow the trail of a cat or a fox or a bird or something. Or they just decide to just go and have a run around. No, these are highly trained dogs. So they're focused on that scent and that scent alone, right? But how long can a scent of a living person, so we're talking about a living person who's passed by. We're not talking about someone lying dead, because live scent trackers are not going to, they're not going to alert. Right? A live scent tracking dog is searching for a living person, the scent of a specific living person. If they come upon a dead body, they are not going to alert to it because they are not searching for that scent. Right? But there are numerous reasons why a dog can become confused in the field, or they give alerts, or if they alert on an area that's a false positive, that's probably down to training. But what tends to happen is that there's a couple of things that confuse dogs. The main one that I think is relevant in this situation is the surface of the ground, because Sheriff Ronnie Lawson was right when he said that sometimes search dogs lose a scent when they get to the road. Now, it's not necessarily because they get to a road. It's because the surface changes and the scent dissipates quicker on certain surfaces than others. And it's the same with water. A dog can track through water, but its natural ability, you've got to think about what a dog does in the wild and why a dog has such a good nose. And dogs have evolved to have such good noses is because they travel large distances to hunt food. So what they're doing is they find a scent on the wind, they follow that, and what they're doing is they're following the scent as it grows stronger. If a scent suddenly becomes weaker, that dog gets confused because that doesn't gel with its natural scenting abilities. So if the scent is getting stronger, right, and then suddenly goes weaker because it gets to a road, or that person gets in water, it doesn't mean to say that scent has completely disappeared. It's that dog is confused and no longer wants to follow because that scent is too weak now. If that makes any sense. So I thought this was written pretty well. All right. So I'll start from here. The ideal working scent conditions for a trailing dog are cool, moist days with no wind. Scent will pool, cling, and survive in shady areas and areas with lush vegetation. So the scent in, on those trails on Ben Hill Road, this is really good conditions for scent to last even for several days, because it's not dry and arid. It's not like a desert where the scent dissipates very quickly, right? The scent will bed into the ground, like the grass, right? So as you're passing by, as you're walking along, you are shedding scent. You're shedding sweat. you're shedding skin cells. And also, if you're barefooted, you're putting your skin cells directly onto the ground. So if Summer was walking along barefooted, her scent would be directly on the ground. And in areas where it was shaded under the trees, where the vegetation is lush, like on grass, that scent is going to bed in, right? Whereas in dry areas like deserts or on a road, an artificial surface, that scent dissipates very quickly and will be gone within a few hours. Whereas in on mud, where it's quite like moist and wet, or on grass, where it's shaded, that scent will pool, and it will maintain quite a strong scent for several days. So the moisture provided by lush green grass, the shade of a front porch, or the damp surface of a gutter are all examples of places where residual scent could be present several days after the source of the scent has passed through an area. So pooling is when you're passing by and you're shedding skin cells and you're shedding your sweat, and eventually that scent that is in the air either blows away on the wind, or a small proportion of it falls back down to earth or falls into a gutter. So places like that. And it can survive for several days. Scent survives longer in cooler conditions found in the evening or early morning because lower temperatures will tend to bring the scent back down to ground level. Right? If it's windy or if it's hot air rises, remember, so it's more likely that that scent will dissipate quickly. Whereas if it's cooler, it will fall down to the ground. Like pollen at night. That's why if you're allergic to pollen, you get your allergies in the early morning and at night, because that pollen is released and then it comes back down to earth. Hot and dry conditions have a negative impact on scent survival. In these conditions, scent is more easily dispersed and destroyed. Direct sunlight will dry out and quickly destroy scent vapors. In addition to the physical toll that it will take on a trailing dog, so the actual dog's exhaustion, heat can also cause scent to rise above the level of where the dog is working. The key to working a search dog in hot temperatures is to avoid it if you can. Now, June 15th, 2021. So Summer disappears late afternoon, right? So they got home at 3:20, 3:30. So sometime between then and 6, Summer disappears. So this is really good conditions for the scent to disperse and fall back down to earth. And if she's barefooted, her skin is having direct contact with the vegetation like grass, earth, mud, and it stays there. So a footprint created by a bare foot in mud or in vegetation absolutely will last for several days. And that's why I believe the footprints were scented and a dog alerted on them, even though they were only found 4 days after she went missing. Whereas scent on the road or on a hard surface or in water will have dispersed within a few hours. So by the next day, that scent will have gone. So it could absolutely be possible that Summer was wandering all around that area, and only certain places that scent is maintained because of the specific conditions, the environmental conditions, and how that dog then navigates through that terrain. Wind can disperse scent great distances, minimizing a scent trail and making trailing difficult. In a case where a lost person walked down a sidewalk 4 days prior to a trailing dog starting a search, The trailing dog may very well work by dipping down into the driveways up to front porches of homes rather than the spot where the person walked on the sidewalk 4 days before. Yeah, I thought it was really interesting because the scent, remember, is falling off you all the time. The scent is, like you're shedding skin cells. Every time you're walking, you're shedding skin cells. Do you know that 90% of the dust in your home is your own skin cells? Anyway, so I'm allergic to dust, which means I'm allergic to humans. Anyway, so, and you're shedding your sweat, right? Now, that scent is just blown away. The majority of it is blown away in the wind. And if it falls down onto a road, onto a hard surface, dissipates within a few hours. But if scent is pooling, if scent is being blown in a particular direction, maybe down people's driveways, and it starts to pool in gutters, on porches, places which are shielded from the wind, then a dog might show particular interest in those areas. So your dog might start zigzagging rather than following the track that person actually made. And a lot of handlers do not listen to their dogs. And I'll give you a perfect example of that. And that was the Chris Watts case. When that poor Labrador was alerting, he was pointing at the dumpsters, and his handler just ignored him and carried on chatting. I know that. I know it's the dust mites. I know it's the dust mite poop that you're allergic to. I know it is. I know it is. I was being a bit facetious. But yeah, I'm allergic to humans in other ways. So yeah, the chances of any scent remaining directly on the pavement of the sidewalk are slim after a 4-day period. They're slim after a 1-day period, honestly. But the chance of scent surviving by clinging to the moisture provided on the grass in shady areas is very likely. Scent needs moisture to survive, which rain provides. Rain does not make scent mysteriously disappear. Now that it's people think if it rains, it washes all the scent away. No, it doesn't. It actually soaks it into the earth and keeps it there. Rain will not destroy scents. A heavy downpour on pavement can disperse it, making it difficult to follow a trail. But on grass, I mean, I don't think it rained anyway in the time between the 15th and the 19th of June 2021. I don't think it rained anyway. But if it did, then it would be another reason why scent would wash away from a road and not from the vegetation areas where it might have pooled. How long can scent survive? Okay, so we don't want to talk about cadaver dogs. We're not talking about cadaver dogs, so I'll skip that bit. We want a scent trail. For obvious reasons, the longer you wait to have a search dog track a scent, the less likely the dog will be able to work the scent of the scent trail successfully. The longer you wait, the more likely the lost dog or the lost person, because remember, this is a lost pet blog, but the lost person will have moved or been transported a great distance. Thus, the fact that the scent of the missing person may still be present after 7 days is sometimes a moot point if the person has already travelled 20 miles or you aren't able to catch them, or if they've been abducted, obviously. Also, in highly residential areas, of course, there's going to be a lot of contamination. There's going to be vehicular traffic, which is going to confuse. Now, that wasn't relevant. In Summer's case, that wasn't relevant because, yes, on Ben Hill Road, it's relevant. So it's another reason why the scent dogs will have lost their scent on the road, because there was people all around. There was searchers all around. There was vehicles all around. But in the vegetation, In the grass and the mud, there wasn't contamination. Not very much. There may have been some. But scent will survive. The scent that dog is looking for will survive for several days. Now get this. The oldest documented scent trail that we could uncover in our research is detailed in the book The Complete Bloodhound by Catherine Bray and Lena Reed. The authors write about a new record in man trailing when a bloodhound handler named Norman Wilson and his 3 bloodhounds, Doc Holliday, Queen Guinevere, and Big Nose Kate, successfully tracked a scent trail of 3 missing people lost in the wet, dense forests of Western Oregon. By the time Wilson worked his hounds, the scent trail was 322 hours or 13 days old. His hounds led Wilson to the bodies of the missing hikers. So they were following these must have been live scent trackers. So they followed the trail all the way to these hikers. Unfortunately, when they got there, they were dead. But they would have been following a live scent that was 13 days old. So I just thought that was really interesting. I thought that might just give you a little bit more insight into why sometimes it looks really confusing when a dog loses a scent, or you've got a scent alert here and then you've not got a scent alert for half a mile. Does it mean that Summer was carried? Possibly, yes. I think possibly lightly up that ridge. But does it mean that Summer was carried from her driveway to Fred's, then up the ridge? No. She could have gone some of that distance, or even all of that distance potentially herself. And the reason why the dogs have only scented on certain areas, and remember, we don't have all the pieces. There may be other scent alerts we don't know about. But of the ones we do, it's possible that dogs did not track her all the way because she moved from vegetation, where the scent lasts for days and days, to the road, where it only lasts a matter of hours, to the water, if she was playing in the creeks, where it minimizes, it disperses very quickly. And then the dog picks it up again further down the road when she steps back out onto the vegetation. So for me, this theory, trying to explain all of these little puzzle pieces, really brings together not what happened. We don't know what happened. Nobody knows what happened. If we knew what happened, Summer Wells would no longer be missing. We don't know what happened, but I think that's a really good theory. It's based on fact. Fact from law enforcement, the little bit they've given us. Unconfirmed, but I think fact still, from neighbours, from witness accounts of those neighbours, and from what we know about the terrain and what we know about the search dogs that trailed that terrain. I think it bases the theory in enough fact for it to be solid. But does it mean that that's what happened? No, we don't know. It could be a really solid theory and still not be what happened to Summer Wells. But anyway, that's the information that I wanted to present. I just wanted to do it in a live so that I could answer questions, and I have been watching the chat. I've not been able to watch every single comment. Like when I'm reading or I'm looking at a map, I keep kind of, flashing my eyes to the screen. But the bigger question for me if this theory turns out to be the one. The $10 million question is who? And we can point fingers. We can point fingers at Fred Hill. We can point fingers at Geordie Sue. We can point fingers at Chad Arnold, at Cotton Simpson, even though he's dead. But we don't know. But I just hope that what Sheriff Ronnie Lawson said to, it was to News Nation, wasn't it? On the 15th of June, that he expects to have an update in the near future. I hope that we do get an update in the near future. Even if it's not, not this is what happened to Summer and this is who did it. Even if it's not that it's just an update. It's just something else to feed into the theories that we have. Because the longer law enforcement go without giving us anything, the more and more and more we feed into the theories that may not be at all what happened to Summer. And people who are named, like Cotton Simpson or whoever else, are completely innocent, and their families shouldn't be dragged through that kind of attention. But at the same time, as I said right at the beginning of this, I'd rather law enforcement say nothing than for them to come out prematurely and say something and then the case be jeopardized because of it. It's a fine line that I think law enforcement tread, and that goes for any case. It's a fine line. That's true. $1 million question, where's Summer? How soon is soon? Yeah, we'd all like to know that, wouldn't we? We'd all like to know that. How soon is soon? What's near future? Is it a week? Is it a month? Is it 6 months? When is it? We don't know. Anyway, that's all I've got to say. I hope you found that informative and useful. Feel free, if you're a creator, to use any part of this live stream, any part of these maps, anything at all. As long as you credit me, that's all I ask. That's all I ask. No, I'm not from Scotland. I'm from Lancashire, which should be its own independent state. I've been campaigning for the independent Republic of Lancashire to be a thing for the last 50 years, but no one's listening. But no, I'm not from Scotland. About 100 miles from the Scottish border from where I live. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you to it. Thank you for being respectful in chat. Thank you, as always, to the mods. I don't think I did any donations, but if I did and I just missed them, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I think we had a new member or two, so welcome to the Secret Agents Club. And yeah, I shall see you tomorrow. I don't know whether I'll do a recorded video or a live stream tomorrow. I'm not sure. Not sure what I got going on tomorrow, actually. I've had a quiet day today, but I've got stuff to do tomorrow. So I'll work it out. I'll work it out. That's why I sound Scottish. Yeah, the Lancashire accent, yeah, it's pretty different to Scotland. I don't know. Maybe it sounds more Scottish than Southern English. Because I don't identify myself as English. I identify myself as Lancastrian. That said, I'm more Italian than I am any of the British nations. So I'm more Italian than English, Scottish, 4% Scottish, 4% Irish, and then 2% Viking. So Yeah. Northern. I'm Northern. Vibes. Thank you. I'm Northern. Not English. I'm Northern. All right, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, whatever you choose to do. Do it well and do it safely. Bye for now, guys.